broadcasting live from the Roanoke Valley of southwestern Virginia. Join us and see what life looks like from a medium's perspective with Reverend Tracey Lockwood, the medium's medium. We'll explore the tools of psychic development, hear stories and experiences from the other side, and learn to listen to our natural intuition. Now, our host, Reverend Tracey Lockwood.
Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. Before we get started with today's show, I just wanted to put in a plug that I teach via Zoom, which means that you can study from your home and you can live anywhere in the world. I teach students all over, and I teach private classes, private psychic mediumship development. I have a 3-level beginner, intermediate, and advanced mediumship course, Mediumship 101, 102, and 103, that I offer privately, exclusively. I also offer live group classes like channeling, and I have a 12-week certification program that is taught twice a year, and it has 3 levels of certification. When you complete everything in the course, then you would be able to I'll determine what level that you would be certified at. It is just a great practical thing. We meet for those 12 weeks for 2.5 hours on a Sunday afternoon or morning, depending on where you live, or evening, depending on where you live. It's really an intensive immersion course, and will cover pretty much every aspect of psychic mediumship and give you lots of outside practice, as well as many exercises in the class. And I'm offering also a 24-unit, it could be done weekly, so it could be as much as a 24-week self-study course. And you can find out more information about that on my website at mediumtraceylockwood.com. Well, I am ridiculously excited to have today's guest on the show, and I'm going to tease you before I introduce her. I'm going to tell you a little something about her. She is a German author, and her first book was a self-coaching guide for students, and it became an Amazon bestseller in Germany instantly. She is a professor of statistics at the University of Applied Sciences and Arts in Hanover, Germany. She is certified as an NLP coach, and she works very holistically. In other words, incorporates all aspects of her clients' being. She is actively involved in intuitive writing and energy work, and she has a shamanic background in training and shamanism, and she is joining the show today to talk about her most recent book, which is called The Miracle Problem Solver: Using Crystals and the Power of Sedona, and yes, that's Arizona, to transform your life. The Miracle Problem Solver: Using Crystals and the Power of Sedona to transform your life. And I'd like to welcome to the show Kira Klenke. Welcome.
Hi, Tracey.
Yay, I knew you were there. I just was like, yay!
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's such a joy for me to be here with you and having this interview with you. Thank you such a lot.
Oh, you are more than welcome. Because our listeners are nosy people, I want to give your website at the beginning of the show. Everybody listen carefully, because the spelling is slightly different. Kira's native language is German, and her spelling is a European spelling. So it's source.method, and method is methode.de /miracle problem-solver. So you can remember the miracle problem solver because all of us want to have that. So just remember source-method.
Source minus method.
Dash or minus, depending on how you read that. So, and also you can Google her and you'll find her website too. So Kira Klenke, that's Klenke. So yay. All right. So I really appreciated your sending me a copy of your book. That was so generous. What an intriguing concept. Just hearing about it made me want to know, using the crystals and power of Sedona to transform your life. What is this German author writing a book about crystals and Sedona? So maybe let's start with telling us a little bit about you and how you got into writing in the first place, and some of your spiritual and intuitive life coaching that you do. How did all that start for you? I'm just curious about your personal history before we go into the book a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Well, actually, Tracey, it started when I was a little kid. Already as a little kid, I sort of wanted to look for the truth behind the obvious, or the truth behind what I could sense with my normal senses. And so as little kids do, I was asking my mom and my grandmother and everybody, and they couldn't help me because they didn't understand what I was talking about. Actually, they thought this girl is a little bit weird. So, yeah. So I got this, typical good German education. And I think it was about in my teens, when I was 15, 16 years old, that I lost this longing for the truth behind the obvious, and that I got adapted to the normal life. And from that moment on...
I love how you said that, Kira. Truth beyond the obvious. I really like that. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just that caught.
Yeah, so that's okay. Just if you want to add something, just go ahead.
Oh, I'll be interrupting the whole time, and you can do the same. So.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, now that you said that, I didn't even know exactly what I was looking for. I just knew there is something more than what I can see or what we are living. I had like this inner compass, guiding me there. And so I lost that in my teen years, and then my life really got difficult and got bad. And after about 10 years, when I was 25, I was really in bad shape. I was so insecure.
Make the best choices when we leave our family of origin,
Yeah, that's true. And so, I had the feeling, I'm so insecure, and life isn't fun, and I don't really know what this all is about. So I don't even know why. Maybe divine guidance. So I had this idea, I really need some professional help, which my family also didn't like at that time, but that doesn't matter. And then again,
very private, like don't take your business to other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't go to psychologists, and
because it would mark you.
A lot, my family was about how to success and how to be successful, how to make money, how to have a big car, how to have a big house. But all that wasn't what my heart was longing for. No. So I was so lucky, or my angels guided me, I suppose. The psychologist that I ended up with was maybe the first person in Germany who did it. He was working with intuitive writing. That means he would teach me to sit down, to ask a question to myself, or to set an intent, and then meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. I also hadn't meditated before. He taught me that. And after that, just take my paper and my pen, and then just write whatever comes into my head or whatever my hand wants to write. And that, from the very first time I did it, it was so amazing. And it was the first time in my life that I had the feeling, oh, now I'm coming home. And I remember, I think it was my second writing session when I was 25, and suddenly I was writing what my life needs is transcendence. And I was very puzzled. I didn't even know the word, but actually that was what had been looking for as a child, the energy and the experience beyond the obvious. So yeah, that's actually how it started. And well, I went to other teachers and did lots of seminars. Like I was into NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and became a coach, etc. And so yeah, following my heart, returning to my true nature. And it really was work to return there. So that helped me to find to a happy life, to a joyful life. And automatically, it's very funny. The more I return to my own truth and to my heart, the more successful I became in life. So
that's a powerful statement right there. The more you return to what your true self was, the more happy and successful your life is. Absolutely a principle. Yes.
Yeah. And that was it still is surprising for me. It was obvious that you become more happy, but it was funny that at the same time, when you're more happy and when you're more with your truth, you're also much more successful in your love life, in your family life, in your business. So that was a great experience. What took me a very long time, it took me decades before I began to share what I learned on my spiritual path, before I started teaching that to other people, like I'm doing now in my books, which are spiritual self-help books, mostly in the last years. And actually, the message I found for myself, or the message I want to give my readers, or the message I would like to give to our listeners now is stop living according to other people's mental concepts. And you are unique, you're beautiful, and please, 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 if you haven't done so far, start searching for who you truly are, and start searching for your own truth and for your own primal nature. And when you do that, well, all the rest is peanuts. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. That's a beautiful. I was just thinking, first, I agree with you on that 100%, because I don't think that until we know ourselves that we can really perceive other people as they are. And second, I just want to compliment you on the generosity of putting this self-help into a book, because that means anyone anywhere in the world, for just the cost of your book, which is very reasonable, can do that. And I love the title of the book, The Miracle Problem Solver.
Yeah. And one reason why I put these things into book, it's like my first book was a student self-help coaching book to help them, to study and be successful studying, but at the same time, find their own truth and their own potential. Because you said it's about when you know yourself, you can perceive the others. I'm actually not so sure. I mean, of course, I can perceive people, and I'm very intuitive. I sense a lot, but actually, I'm not sure whether I'm able to perceive somebody else 200%. And that's where the problem starts with coaching. I think only everybody themselves know what their path is. So no other authority can tell you where your life path is. Only you yourself know what's the right path for myself. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I didn't mean it in the sense of like, oh, I know myself now, so I'm totally going to tell you who you are. I just meant that maybe less of a need to interfere or interface with other people, like allowing people to be on their path and to see them at a greater depth, because you've seen yourself at a greater depth.
Yeah, yeah.
Not in the terms of like
yeah.
your life.
and maybe also more compassionate, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, I know first of all, I just freaking love the name of the book, Miracle Problem Solver, because who out there does not want to have a miracle happen in their life? Like, nah, they all passed on the miracle, you know. But I know kind of a miracle happened to you while you were in Sedona. And it led to the writing of this book. And I'm so excited to hear about it. So tell us.
Yeah. The story, how the book came to me, actually, that actually is a miracle, and I think, in some way it was life changing, because now I'm writing more of these kind of books, and it all started. Well, that was 9 years ago. I was on a holiday with my husband in Sedona. And we were visiting, I suppose some listeners know, or most listeners know about Sedona. And you have these beautiful vortexes, these power places, like 10, 20 different power places all around Sedona.
Describe a little bit, some people might have heard of Sedona, Arizona. Some people might be living in Sedona, Arizona right now. But tell us a little bit about the energy of the place and sort of your impressions of it and how you handle it.
It's just a wonderful place. It's a very beautiful place. I think when I was there 2009, when I was there the first time, somebody said, or some newspaper said, it's the most beautiful area in whole of the United States. I think I read that. So it's very beautiful.
It is esteemed, though. It's kind of a desert environment, though, with these rocks that kind of go up. And you mentioned red rocks, and that's
you have these stunning red rocks who are washed by the sea or by nature, and they look like sculptures. They look like, and the people called them something like, you have a rock who is called Mother and Mary and Jesus with Mary the baby on the arm, or you have Snoopy Rock, or like Bell Rock. That's the place where I wrote the book. Looks like a huge bell-shaped bell. And it's sometimes when you look at the rocks, you cannot believe that nature made these artworks, you know. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was like coming home there. And whenever I've been in Sedona, now I haven't been there for 3 years. Whenever I've been in Sedona, you know, it takes me such a while here back in Germany, because I'm so homesick to going to Sedona. And these huge red rock sculptures, well, for me, I never read that. That's my personal impression. When I was sitting there, they were like crystal energy. You know, like quartz crystal. So like you're sitting next to a huge quartz crystal mountain.
Wow. That's so intense. That's so intense.
Yeah, and it's really great, and it's magical. Like whenever we had a wish, you know, you get an idea. Really miracles all the time. I've been there 3 or 4 times now, and miracles are happen there all the time. Like I travel with my husband. He's a numerologist, and he read a book from a lady. She lives somewhere in Arizona, and he tried to contact her via email or Facebook from here from Germany. Couldn't contact her. And so we were in Sedona, and he said, oh, I would like so much to meet that lady. And that afternoon, suddenly we met her daughter, and then were invited to the author's house. So it's really amazing. You wish something, and bum, it's true like half a day later. It's really amazing.
It is amazing. And I think the history of Sedona goes back, a long ways, because it's a geographical features.
Yeah.
But you know, I know I had heard that it was a particular place that Native Americans would visit. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, I think it's a place that like also I think like the Grand Canyon, like a place to go there, and really that's my experience. Like when you have a question, or when you have a wish, or when you want to clear something for yourself, you go to one of these vortexes where I have to say they are not all the same. There are some which are empowering, like the Bell Rock, which I might tell in some minutes, where the book came to me. Later, I read that lots of people got in contact with their life purpose sitting at the Bell Rock. So you go there, and then you go in a slightly, let's say, meditative state, but actually you don't even have to it's like you are, when you sit there, you are meditated, your mind is still. And I'm just happy. When I was there last time, that was 2015, and I said the first day, we have to go to Bell Rock, to my husband. So we went there, and it was amazing. At all these tourists and Japanese taking photos, and people filming, and they had helicopters above cruising around the Bell Rock, and cars everywhere. It was like crazy. It was very busy, and I hadn't seen it like this before, and it was so funny. I was sitting in the middle, and I was in this calm and peaceful state, and a baby crying next to me, and a Japanese filming on the other side, and the helicopter above, and it was like it didn't touch me. It's really shame.
Yeah. Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah, so you really have to go there and visit that place. Oh, I have to go there again.
I would love to. Tell me, you said some of the vortexes are very empowering. I'm assuming there's some that are not.
There are some. The one which is the most famous, because maybe it's because of its shape, is the Cathedral Rock. It's a little bit, the shape is a little bit like a cathedral, and people say that is, for example, more a place which is calming down. And actually, you said it's desert. It is desert area, but it is amazing. You have the Oak Creek River there, so there is a river.
Yes.
At the river, you also have trees. So I'm very happy you have water there and trees. And like this Cathedral Rock, there you have this Oak Creek River flowing there. And when you're sitting there, it's more like I have sitting there as often as, for example, with the Bell Rock. But what people say is when you're sitting there, it's like all these old stuff, these old patterns go out of your body, go into the water, go into the ground. So there are some which are more cleansing, more calming. And there are others, like, for example, the Bell Rock, which are much more empowering. Like, for example, the Bell. You have to stop me if I go too deeply into one.
No.
I get carried away. I get carried away.
Good. Me too.
The Bell Rock looks very easy to climb. I've never been up to the top. Also, I always climbed a little bit. It's enough, and then you sit there on a little tree, and I do my writing. But it has like an uplifting and really up-pushing energy. So what really happens is, and it seems to be quite close to the street. It's actually not. It looks closer than it is. So people come there, they stop their car, they get out of the car, they get to the Bell Rock, they get excited, and then, they're climbing up, no water, no hat on. And they're climbing up, and suddenly they're up there. Very often it happens. And then they said, how did we get up here? And how do we get down again,
Wow.
So
sort of really, almost like finding themselves, like kind of like a time slip or something like that.
Yeah. So the energy is really pushing you. It's pushing you up. But what I like at the Bell Rock is that it's really a great place to get in contact with your task that you have in this incarnation and with your life purpose. And I think that's sort of what happened to me when I was writing there.
Yeah, tell us about, first, did you know that about Bell Rock before you went? Was there something that drew you? What was the reason that you chose to sit there that day?
Actually, I only heard Sedona. Now Sedona is famous in Germany, and Germans are traveling there. At that time, nobody knew about Sedona in Germany. And actually, one lady had told me about Sedona and maybe about the Bell Rock and how she got ideas about her life, and everything was ringing in me. And I said, "Oh, I have to go there," but I didn't know much when I went there. So it was when I go to power places, which I also did in other places of the world, I just climbed there up a little bit. My husband was climbing up all over to the top and up. So they have these little juniper trees. I was picking a little tree, so I had some shade, and then meditate, and then, like I was taught decades ago, I just love to do that. You see me wherever I am, you can see me with paper and pen and a diary. So I start.
Me too. I have a pen in my hand or in my mouth. One point of
So I was meditating, and then I was intuitively writing, just writing where my hand is or my ideas or the bell rock is guiding me. And I do that very often, and I do it for decades. And well, actually, when I do intuitive writing, the moment that I'm writing, I know, I hear inside the words, or I read the sentences. I mean, I'm aware of what I'm writing, but it's because I suppose I'm in kind of altered consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the listeners might know this. When you wake up in the morning and you remember you had a dream, and you remember a feeling or an image from the dream, and you still remember it when you wake up in your bed. And then you get up and you shower and you brush your teeth, and suddenly it's all gone.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with my intuitive writing. I'm aware what I'm writing while I'm writing, but then I close my diary and I just enjoy the state. I go walk back to my car on the Bell Rock, and I take the car to the next restaurant. And if you would ask me half an hour or an hour later, I would not have known what I have written, like with a dream in the name.
Yeah,
so
I think it's, sometimes we call it channeled writing also. And there is that level of altered state where you're writing so inspirationally. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So very often I don't look in my diary because, it was just nice having this meditation. So I went back because I loved it so much. The first time when I was in Sedona, I went back to the Bell Rock every day, and I was writing there every day. I think I did that for 2 weeks. And I think it was the third or fourth day, and that really was a very impressive experience, when I suddenly had the feeling, gee, I can't remember what I wrote yesterday, but I have the feeling that the text from yesterday and the day before, it's continuing. It's one big text.
Like a piece of a larger, yes.
Yeah, and there is something going on from one day and yesterday and today and tomorrow, but I had no idea, what piece. So internally I asked and said, what am I writing here? And then something for me very impressive happened. My hand, like it was, I don't know, automatic, wrote on the paper in capital letters. It wrote SOURCE, so the word source. And then directly, before I knew what was happening, it was writing, that means Sedona Stone Oracle Unity Recreating Constellation Experience. Sounds a little bit complicated. What it means is that the method and the book that I was writing there is about an oracle method with stones, with little stones, and it's a little bit like constellation work. And the purpose of that work is to recreate the unity, or to recreate the truth behind the obvious, or to find your own self. So in the moment when that source name with the explanation came, I knew, oh gee, there's really something happening.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love that it's source, because that's how I refer to the divine,
Yeah.
So God, or the source, or the universe. Yeah, it's one of the names I really like for our collective origin,
Yeah. And what you said before about sharing it with other people, in the same at the same day, it was obvious that it's a book I'm writing, that it should be published, that I would find a publisher. It was absolutely clear when I was sitting on that mountain there. And it was clear that it's not a method. It's a method to help me. I use it quite often myself. But it was from the very first moment I was writing it, it was obvious it's a method, to bring it in the world so that as many people as possible can use this wonderful, miraculous method,
Tell us, I love that. And I just want to say it again, Sedona Stone, Oracle, Unity, Recreating, Constellation Experience. Yeah. So that feels so interesting to me. That makes me think of all kinds of things. So tell us a little bit more about that method and maybe how it works too.
Yeah, I would like to explain the method, which might be a little bit complicating doing it on radio, but it's funny, 2 days ago, so I first explained the method so that the listeners know how it works, and then 2 days ago, that's really funny, spontaneously an exercise came to me. I didn't know that before. So if we have time, I would like to do this. Might take us, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an exercise which the listeners can do at home to get, because I can't do the source now with the listeners because that would take an hour. We don't have that time.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, we've got about 20 minutes. So
we've got about 20 minutes. Yeah, so then what I would say, then I explain the method shortly, and then we do the experiment together. Shall we do it like this?
I think that sounds absolutely wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So what you do with the source method is you need a handful of small stones, could be crystals in all colors, or I very often just use normal pebbles, which I find at the beach or when I'm on a walk in the woods.
You're drawn to, yes.
Yeah, so you have like 10 little small 1/2 inch size pebbles, and then you relax and concentrate on your breathing and go in a little meditative state, so get out of your rational thinking, and then write down an issue or problem you would like to solve. Could be a working issue, could be a health issue, could be a relationship issue. It doesn't really matter. You can actually work on any situation where you feel helpless or you don't know how to get out of that situation. So you write that down. And then the next thing is you make a list of all the, on the Bell Rocks, the word was players, all the players involved. That means the people involved are the influencing factors. That could be your husband, your neighbor, your son. It could also be a working project. It could be a group of people, like all your colleagues at work. It could be your house, could be, the horse you're having difficulties with, could be your headache, it could be jealousy, it could be anything. You just think of what are the players, what are the factors that are involved in this topic that I'm having. Mm-hmm. So then you select the 5 to 7 most important to you, and that is really important. Don't start your source with 20 players, which means, I explain that in a second, with 20 stones.
Yeah.
Look which are the most important, let's say 5 to 7. And then for each factor, you pick a stone to represent that factor and make a note of it so that like the little green stone is my mother-in-law and the black one is my neighbor and the red one is representing me. So you write that down. Mm-hmm. And then you hold all these stones gently between your hands and go within, ask for guidance, and ask that you want to recognize facts and interrelations that you have not seen before. And then, like you would throw a dice, you on a free place on your table or on the floor or wherever, you just roll out these stones and they roll out, and then you have like a stone constellation of these 5 to 7 players. Nice. And it's very good if you do not remember like the red one is me and the black one is my neighbor, because you've written that down somewhere. It's very good. Then you look at this picture, and then you have a picture of forms, the forms of the stones, the colors of the stones. Some are lying apart, some are lying closer together. You also look at the empty space between the stones, so you sort of look at the whole thing. And then and that's the oracle part. Then you look, do you see any patterns? And it's a little bit difficult to explain this in radio, but I tell you in a minute a link to a YouTube video where I show this. But what you do is you look like, sometimes, the black stone is lying on top of the red one, or 3 stones are cuddled together and the blue one is further away. Or sometimes it happens quite often that one of the stones is just rolling off the table and it disappears and you can't find it again. So you write down these patterns in terms of the stones, and then afterwards you look, what is the meaning? Like the black one, the black stone lying on the red one, and you find out that my insecurity is lying on top of, I don't know, my project I want to finish at my job, and what was rolling off the table was, I don't know, the love for myself or taking more care of myself. Yes. So you look at this constellation and you get a totally, it's like you're putting on new glasses. You get a new perspective at your current situation, and people are so puzzled by what happens when you do that. Tracey, have you tried it out?
I have tried it out, and I think it's really a beautiful way. I would think of it sort of like lithomancy or crystallomancy or something like that. But it's but the flow is a little bit more intricate than that.
Yeah. So after you've sort of analyzed, with the help of this stone constellation, analyzed your situation, then it's good to make a photo of the constellation, how you have thrown it on the table, and then intuitively and very gently and very softly, you can start moving stones to make let's say, the picture. Don't work on the topic. Don't say, I want to take my fear or my project away. Do this like when you have a bunch of flowers and you want to arrange them in a vase. Do it the whole picture is getting more harmonious, more balanced, and it's more
it feels better. Yeah.
Feels better in your body. And sometimes you don't even have to move the stones. Sometimes you only have to twist the angle, like when you have a triangular stone with one sharp corner, it might be that you just have to turn the corner away into another direction. Sometimes it's very small changes that you make, and then suddenly you can see that very good in the YouTube video. I'm going to tell you the link in a moment. And then suddenly you will feel a relief in your body. It's like, oh, this looks so much better. Yeah. When you at this point, then you know you're done, and you can make a photo of the new constellation. There's also a way to work with the photos, which is very miraculous and very effective, but I won't go into this here because it would be all too complex. You can leave that constellation that you have changed on your table, if it's possible in your surrounding. Leave it sitting on the table for some days, and It's amazing with the shifting of the stone constellation. What happens after some days is really that the life situation and the own way to look at that situation or to react in that situation, that is really changing after a while.
Yeah, and that's how it differs from lithomancy or crystallomancy. The process of the first thing of casting the stones and noticing the, the relationships between, or maybe the characteristics of the stones and going into that. But the difference is that you don't let it there. It engages you to take charge and engage in the solution of it vibrationally, which is so interesting. And that by leaving it out, it allows that energy of that solution to sort of set. It sets the intent. And that is so interesting to take it that next level. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really very powerful. When I was thinking about the interview yesterday, I said, oh, this is difficult to explain that via radio. And then I remembered last year when we had the Frankfurt Book Fair here in Germany, I was presenting the method and I was doing a demonstration with a young man about his financial situation. Mm-hmm. And it was lucky that we were filmed, and he was working on his financial situation, and it went very fast. And you can see that in the YouTube video. He was casting the stones, and he was, I think, replacing 2 stones. And then suddenly the way his face changed, the way he was sitting changed. He started laughing spontaneously, and you could really see this relief after changing 2 stones. He was so relieved. And then it was very funny while we were sitting there and making this video, his cell phone was ringing. And first I was a little bit confused. I mean, we were doing the video, and he was answering the cell phone, and I was thinking, I mean, why is he answering a cell phone?
Yeah, right.
and this is also in the video, and a lady called him, and he got an offer for a new job, which was about, I don't know, $2,000 or something. So the money was coming in instantly. So, I mean, that was a German demonstration, but my American publisher liked it so much, so they made English subtitles, so it's all translated into English.
Excited.
And if you want to find that, you can find that on YouTube. And what you give in YouTube is the title. It's a little bit long, I discovered yesterday, but that way you can find it. It is Solve Problems, Change Life Situations with the Source Method.
Oh, that's great.
And there people can see it, and it's really I swear it's no fake and nothing.
Oh, of course not. I can hear your integrity.
And it was so funny that really while we were sitting there, the money was coming in. So that's really impressive.
Phenomenal. One of the things I really like about it is that you shift through that technique, or the beings or energies or source that gave that technique to you, or the inspiration that came to you about that, is that the process shifts people's focus to from the external world, like, I don't like this person, and this one, I don't have enough money, and if I only had this, and it's like an outside process. You shift the external process to an internal process, like a reflective, and you're in touch with how you feel and what feels right to you. What a beautiful shift in energy for the people.
Yeah. And you shift from, normally when we think about a problem, we think about details, and from A follows B, and if I do C, then happens whatever.
Right, logically, yeah.
You look at the whole picture, you look at the whole constellation, and at all influence factors at the same. And that I think we don't normally do when we think about a problem.
Right. Oh, I think that's so, what a great, it's just bringing it inside. And I think that's where the answers lie, which are within us. They lay within us, Yeah. And we often just keep looking outside of ourselves for answers, or feel victimized by the situations in our life. And that's beautiful. And, when I first picked up the book, I thought, oh, do you have to have rocks from Sedona? But clearly you don't. And
No.
but don't you think like our intent charges objects to create energy? They just serve as sort of like a tool or a vehicle for that. And I just love the idea of first taking a picture of the initial arrangement that falls from the casting, and then letting the stone sit for a while so that solution stays in place and sets the energy and helps create that new vibration in your life. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So Tracey, how much time have we left? Because
we have 5 minutes or 6, five.
Okay.
Exactly, but around that.
Okay. Because it was funny. I was thinking, well, how could I give the listeners an experience that they get an idea how this works? Because it sounds a little bit magical, and you really have to experience that. So maybe I wanted to guide you through the exercise. So I think we cannot do that in 5 minutes. But I could explain you the exercise, and maybe the listeners make little notes, and then you can do that. Takes about at most 10 minutes, and then you can do that when you listen now to the interview. You can do that later, and then you can see whether this kind of intuitive work is something that you want to dive more into, or I think you want to.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So let me I won't guide you through, but I will just explain you the exercise is especially for this interview and for these listeners. I like that such a lot. It's a new exercise. So what you need is 3 small items. So if you like I have stones everywhere in my apartment, if you have crystals, you can use them. But I'm aware not everybody has crystals in their living room. You can also use 3 other items, like you can take a key and a pen, and I've tested it out, and I did my reading glasses. You pick just 3 little items. That's step 1. Then you think of a relationship you would like to improve. You spar with your spouse or your boss or your neighbor or your dog or your body or your money or whatever. And don't think long, just choose the first one that pops through your mind. So that's step 2. So then you think, what is the topic? What is a word for the topic of that relationship? Like respect, I want more respect, or more romance, or more time together, or less, or I want to show more who I truly am, like more authenticity, or whatever. Pick one word that is about the topic of the relationship. So, and then when you did that, then you pick one of these items to represent you. One of the items will represent the other person or money or health, whatever relationship you're looking at. And the third item is representing the topic that is relevant for you. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you cannot throw like a key and a pen and your reading glasses like you would roll a dice or a stone. But what you can do, and do that as quickly as you can, just let your body, let your hands do the work as quickly as possible, and grab the 3 items and place them on the table in any way that comes to you. Good. So then you have these 3 items lying there, and then you look at that constellation. And you will sense when you put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, you will have a gut feeling when you look at that constellation. Or when you look at the picture, I tried it out myself yesterday. So I looked at the picture of the 3 objects and a word came into my mind. So grab the first thing. What is the meaning of that constellation? Like for me, it was about writing my next book. It was I'm doing too much rational logical thinking. That, for example, came to me. So, and then intuitive again, and please just let your body and your hands do it. Maybe you close your eyes and do it quickly, because the longer you wait, then the more your rational mind is jumping in. Let your hands and let your body move these 3 items around so that the constellation is harmonized. Like the distance is changed or the position is changed. And then you look at that new constellation, and you will see when these 3 objects are lying at a different place, that the whole impression, the picture you see, the feeling you have when you're looking at it, it's so amazing. You will see, well, the effect of constellation work, it will feel totally different to you. And then again, one hand on the belly, one hand on your heart. You sense now what is the feeling you have with that constellation, or a word or a sentence that comes to your mind. And let that changed constellation of the 3 items, well, let that work on you. Sit with it for a while, look at it for a while, sense it a while. And you will be surprised how 3 little items, and just by shuffling them around intuitively, how that will change your feeling in this relationship. Oh, so that is a little experiment that you can do. And if listeners try that, and if they have the feeling, oh, that's great, then I think you really should try the Miracle Problem Solver. Yeah, so that was my exercise.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kira. We are at the end of our show. Give them your website again, if you will.
Yeah, the website is source minus, Methode is the German word. It's like the English word method with the E, method E, then .de for Deutschland, .de, then / miracle minus problem minus solver. Or if you just type in Google Kira Klenke and Miracle Problem Solver, I'm sure you'll find me. Yeah.
Kira Klenke, thank you so much for your gracious appearance on the show. We really, really appreciate your being here. And for our listeners, remember, it is never inappropriate to be kind.